Hi, so today's video tutorial is all about how we can work with socket.io in Node.js application. So socket.io is a kind of server that is used for communication from server to client and client to server. So one of the primary uses of socket.io is like we can use it in our chat application. So it is a best fit for it. So what I am going to do is like I am going to create a new application, Node.js application from scratch, and will walk you through it how we can create a socket.io application. So what I am going to do is I am going to open my command prompt and simply say cd e drive rnd. This is like my rnd folder. I am navigating over there and I will create a new directory over there, socket app1. So after that what I am going to do is I am going to navigate to that directory. So I am saying cd socket app1. So once I have navigated to this directory, I will use my npm command to create a new application for my project. So what I will do is I will simply say npm init. So as soon as I hit npm init, it will ask me for some particular thing. So I am saying the package name should be socket1, version is fine, description I am saying this is my socket app.io app, entry point is index.js, test command is none, git repository I don't want to put, none of the keywords, author is like Prashant, license default. Is it okay? Then I will press enter. So after that what I am going to do is I am going to use the Visual Studio Code for editing the files. So Visual Studio Code is a free IDE from Microsoft that you can use for creating your files. So now the first thing I need to do is I need to install Express in my application. So I will simply say npm install hyphen save and I will say Express. So this should be installing my Express server and I would be able to see it in my dependencies. So Express was installed. So let's start by adding a new file that is like index.js file, which will be our entry point. So in my entry point I am going to simply say where app is equal to require I need Express server. So I am simply saying I need Express without any parameters. Also I need to use HTTP. So where HTTP is equal to require HTTP and I will be passing a parameter to its server file that will be my app. So now what I can do is I can simply say that app.get and its root, if it's a root directory, what it should happen is like a request and response would be there. So in my request response what I can do is I can simply, for now I will be sending a simple string, that is like I am going to say simply h1 socket app, right? So let me do this and close it. So once I have closed it, the basic thing is what I need to do is I need to listen for that particular port. So I am going to simply say http.listen. I will be providing the port number and simply saying there is a function and I am saying console.log application has started on port 3000. So this is like a very basic or like the first step towards creating your socket application. So right now what I have done is like I have created a Node.js application and installed Express, and let's try to run it. So what I will say, node index.js. Now the application has started on port 3000. So let's open Chrome. Localhost 3000. So like our node application is set up. Also like let's do one thing, rather than fetching a static string, we can use file. So for that purpose what I will do is I will create a new file over here with name of index.html, and I will give some HTML. There will be some head will be having a title. So this is my socket app. Also I will be having a body, right? So in my body what I am going to do is like I am going to have a text box and a send button with me. So for doing that I am simply saying ULID is equal to, or rather than directly doing this, what we can do is like we can say ULID is equal to messages, or like message, correct? So once I have done this I will be using a form element with no action, and I am going to create a input box over here. Input with ID is equal to M for message, and I am simply going to set this autocomplete to off. Also I am going to add a button over here with send written over here. So this is like my basic app. Now I need to call it in my index.js file. So what I will do is instead of sending response.send, I will say response.send file, and in the send file what I can do is like I can provide the path. So directory name plus slash index.html. So this would be the location for my application. So if I head back in my command prompt and run the application again, so application has started without any problem. Let me refresh this. Now I can see that I have got my text box and send button available with me. So this is like the first step what I'm going to do. So in my next step, what I will be doing is like I will be integrating socket.io. So for integrating socket.io, I need to create or install socket.io. So I will simply say npm install --save socket.io. So once the socket.io has been added in my application, what I can do is like I can go in my index.js file and I will go ahead and say app. I will first import the socket.io. So for that I am simply saying where io is equal to require socket.io. So here I can see the IntelliSense provided. I also need a parameter like http. So now what I am going to do is I am going to say io.send, or like we can create a connection first. So io.on. So this is the way that I like connection. What I will be saying is like I have got a function, and within this function I can say console.log a new user is connected. So this is as simple like setting up the socket.io and a new connection has been established. So if I go head back in my command prompt, and one more thing I need to take care, that is like this is the server part which I have done. So I also need to make sure that I am using socket.io in my HTML file. So for that, let's import the script src is equal to slash socket.io slash socket.io.js. So this is the script that I need to reference. Also like I need to create a variable for my socket. So I am saying where socket is equal to io and initializing it. So once I have done this, I can head back in my command prompt and simply run node index.js, and it is saying application has started on port 3000. So what I am going to do is I am going to open localhost 3000 and hit enter once. So as soon as I hit enter, you can see that a new user is connected was found. So let me do one more thing. Let us open one more window and use this localhost 3000. Now again, if you go in your command prompt and see, then it's saying a new user is connected. So this is as simple as setting up this socket.io application. So let's say that for some cases you want to close your socket.io connection. So what you can do over here is you can pass a socket object over here, and you can say like socket.on. So here you can say disconnect and simply passing a parameter and saying console.log. Okay, so here I misspelled function, so it was troubling me. So now it's a user is disconnected. So if I go in my application and close this, and let's again run this application, a new user 1 is connected, 2 is connected. So if I go and close one of this application, so it's saying a user is connected, or let's see what we have put over there. Okay, so instead of putting this connected, we needed to put this disconnected. So let's stop the server again. Let's start our server, node index.js. A new user is connected. Let's open one more localhost 3000. A new user is connected. Now let's close this first one. So as soon as I close the first one, I can see that a user is disconnected is getting in the console.log. So this is how like we can configure our socket.io. Now let's move ahead and see how we can use events with our socket.io, or like we are going to see how we can emit our events. So for doing that, what I am going to do is I am going to go in my index.html file, and over here let's first of all wrap this up in a self-executing function. So what I will do is I will select the form element. So selecting the form element, I need to use jQuery. So I will just search for jQuery CDN, and grab a copy of that and add it in my application. So right here I am going to add it over here. I think that functionality over there is not working, so let me copy this whole, Control C and Control V. So now I have got jQuery added in my application. So moving ahead, I will be adding using the form tag and submitting event. So here what I have got is I am going to say function with a parameter e. I need to prevent the default, so I don't want to submit this, or like I don't want to start the default action right now. After that I am going to simply say socket.emit over here I am going to say chat, and I am going to grab the value from my text box. So I am simply saying that I need this value. So I am setting this value in my chat box. After doing that, what I will be doing is like I will be emptying the text box, saying return false. Right, so this is how like I have configured my client, socket.io client. And after that, what I will do is for listening. So now for seeing our messages in our console, what we can do is like we can simply say socket dot on. I've got a chat message with me, and what I need to do is I need to use a function, and I will simply say this is some kind of a message that I am receiving from the server, and over here I can simply say that console.log message, and this message is msg. So this is how like we can see our messages in our console. So I am sending message from my index.html, that is my client file, to index.js, that is like my server. So let's move back to cmd, run our node index.js command. So as soon as I hit node index.js, application has started on port 3000. Now what I need to do is I need to go back to my browser, and I will simply say hello. So as soon as I hit hello, I am seeing that hello message was printed on my application. So this is how I use socket.io with Node.js application. Thanks for watching the video.